friends, went to a ride along, took the class, and then I was kind of like, well, here I am.
Getting to meet people that you've helped previously and seeing them on the street, or they've come by the station to say hello and thank you. It's just a rewarding experience. I would do it all over.
Searching for an unforgettable summer for your child? At Old Nell's Farm, campers spend days riding horses, learning horsemanship, caring for animals, making new friends, and enjoying real farm adventures. From beginners to horse lovers, our small camps offer a fun, safe, hands-on experience they'll talk about all year. Old Nell's Farm, DeVille, Louisiana. Call 318-794-9533 to register. Spots are limited.
Hi, this is Pastor Roger L. Green Sr., pastor of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. We're welcoming you to our worship services on Sunday morning. Sunday school begin at 8 a.m. Worship services begin at 9 a.m. Come and grow with us, a place of faith, family, and fellowship. We would love to have you. Come see us Sunday morning. We'll see you there.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.
Good evening, Central Louisiana. I'm Jack, and this is the Let's Talk show here on Urban Cast. Tonight's conversation is powered by Urban Cast Let's Talk and Sunlaw Goat with support from our silver sponsor, Acadian Ambulance. As we approach another important election cycle, Urban Cast remains committed to providing voters the opportunity to hear directly from candidates seeking public office. Tonight, we're joined by Jamie Davis, Democrat candidate for the United States Senate, representing Louisiana. We're going to discuss issues impacting families across our state, particularly issues that are impacting us here in Central Louisiana. We always feel like we're left out, including healthcare, rural hospitals, insurance rates, affordable farming, carbon capture, sequestration, economic opportunity. We just want to talk about it all there, Mr. Davis. That's what we're going to do. If you're watching live tonight, drop your questions in the comments. We might bring them in directly into the conversation. Jamie, thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into this in our questions a little bit later, but it seems like Canada is always forgetting about Central Louisiana. And tonight, we want you to talk about Central Louisiana and the issues that are going to impact us, because we certainly have a lot of them here in Alexandria, that's for sure. And some areas in Central Louisiana are doing pretty well, but here in Alexandria, we got some challenges, and we need some people that's going to be able to work with our state and local officials to get things done in our community and that kind of stuff. But if you would, go ahead and give us an opportunity, introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and all that kind of good stuff, man.
I will. And I'm Jamie Davis. I am the husband. I am a father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and I am also the grandson of a sharecropper. Of course, I'm a farmer by trade. I grow cotton, corn, and soybeans on 3,200 acres. I'm a public servant. I've held office, holding the office of Vice President of Tensas Parish Government in the past. I'm a local public servant, serving our local Head Start, serving on Farm Bureau boards. From grain to cotton. I also serve on the USDA National Board of PVPO, and I'm also the secretary of the Northeast Louisiana Railroad Model. Just to tell you a little bit about my service. To tell you, I am excited about the opportunity to tell the people tonight about who I am and what I'm about. Number one, I am an advocate for healthcare. I'm an advocate for great education. I'm an advocate for making Louisiana more affordable. And I'm also an advocate for making sure that government upholds the Constitution. I like the thoughts of what you said in the opening about representing places that has been forgotten. I live in Concordia Parish right now, and some people may call that the sin law because Alexandria ain't far from Faraday at
No,
all.
we track the news when there's something big going on in Concordia
Right.
and Calhoun. We're
Yeah.
talking about it.
All right. So, with that being said, I am one of you when it comes to feel like we've been forgotten. And that's one of the reasons why we fight, because healthcare for me is one of the fights that I'm a champion for, because if the big beautiful bill stay in existence the way it is written, there will be 3 hospitals that close close to my house, which means that I would have to trek all the way to Alexandria for an emergency room. And Alexandria to Faraday, it ain't that far, but it's not. I don't want to have to take that with an emergency, take that trip with an emergency. So
Right.
that's some of the reasons why, you see me as a candidate right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it didn't hit me, now that you're really bringing it home clear. I mean, you just right down the road, right up the road from us. And
Yes, sir.
yeah, when we headed up to, anytime we headed northeast or anywhere, we're heading right up that way to I-20. So
That's exactly right.
yeah. Well, you are often, as I was doing some research on you, you often describe yourself as a farmer rather than a career politician. How has your experience working the land shaped your perspective on public policy?
Well, for me, it gives you the respect for the land, which plays into my role for one of the issues that we are scheduled to talk about, which is carbon capture and sequestration. So, when my campaign started and people would ask me how, where I stand on that issue, I was like, all I would tell them is I'm a farmer and you figure it out, because what farmer, wanting somebody to come and take over their land with eminent domain? What farmer, wanting somebody to run a pipeline through their property and gives you a restriction on what you can do with your own land? What farmer, want anybody messing with the most valuable thing that they have to make a living for themselves, and that's the land. So there is no miscommunications on where I stand with carbon sequestration. And one thing I want to be very clear about is I'm not one of those guys that's against business. I just don't want to put my land at risk to have business. And I feel like when it comes to carbon capture sequestration, that the landowners ought to make the last decision about it. The government shouldn't make the decision for the people. The people should make the decision for themselves. So that's the way I feel about it. But when it comes to carbon capture, I'm a no-go for me, because, like I said, I've worked too hard to build what we have over here to have somebody come and take it and tell me what I'm gonna do with my own land that I've worked my butt off for, to try to buy, preserve, to have, to take care of it, to nurture it with all of the different kind of fertilizers that we need to put back in to keep the land to where it is, and also with the water that's under the ground. We have to be very careful with that, because when you ruin that precious water that's under the ground, man, how do you fix that? Who knows how to fix it? So you got to protect that. That's the way I am on it, Mr. Jack.
Okay. Well, why do you believe, just fundamentally, why do you think Louisiana needs a new voice in DC?
It's easy for me.
Okay.
And the way I see it, Louisiana has never seen a candidate like Jamie Davis, a farmer, a man of the land. Most of the times we have lawyers, maybe doctors, sometimes engineers. Sometimes we have advocates that are, fighting for a reason. But as far as I can remember, Louisiana has never had a man of the land, just a common Joe that want to make an honest living for himself and want to see the rest of the state be able to make an honest living. So who better to represent the people than a man of the people? Not someone that's, has built fortunes and is powerfully rich and has the ability to take their own wallet or pocketbook and affect an election. Man, we have gotten, probably the last time I looked, about 65,000 individual contribution from people. I don't mean companies or PACs or large corporations. All of the money that we've raised have come from people. So I just believe who better to represent the people than a person of the people. I still, when I'm not campaigning to try to win this election, I go to work on my farm. Matter of fact, I was out there earlier today. I still work on my farm every day when I can, and I'm not campaigning. A working guy, no different than everybody else. High fuel prices affect me just like it do you. High insurance prices affect me as it do you. I'll give you one even better. My budget was set already before the war with Iran started. I know the struggles of anybody else that has a budget set, and now you got to try to work something else into your budget because fuel costs have spiked like it has.
Mm-hmm.
When we made the budget, I want to say fuel cost was like $3.20, and now we're paying right at $5 for diesel on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fix that on a farm budget? Those are the type of things that normal people deal with, and I'm normal and deal with them just like everybody else.
Your campaign points out that Louisiana has some of the highest poverty rates in the nation, roughly about 18.9%. Here in Alexandria, approximately, and this right here in Alexandria, I ain't in Catahoula, because I do realize that we all were a part of the original congressional district number 5 at one point, and at the time it was like the 12th. I remember one time when I looked at it a while back during that time, it was like the 12th poorest congressional district in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Alexandria, approximately 1 in 4 residents live below the poverty line, and some census tracts right here in the city of Alexandria exceed 50% of poverty. Why do you believe Louisiana continued to struggle with poverty despite all of these natural resources that we actually have, and the economic potential that we actually have? Why do you feel we're still struggling?
I believe we're struggling because of who is in power at the time now that we're having these issues.
Mm-hmm.
When you see an administration that basically works from or works for the top, the elite earners, and they hope and believe that when they give breaks to the large companies and billionaires, they are wishing and hoping on a star that it trickles down to the people, and that's not the way it works. That has never worked. When Louisiana and the people of Louisiana do better is when you have people in office that want to see the lower class and the middle class people do better. You see legislation that works for those people, and that's what you have in a senator like myself. I will be a voice for the people because I struggle with the same issues that most people struggle with. I'm still a guy I'm not a rich man. I still work and have to pay bills just like everybody else. So a vote for me is a vote for you. And if you're looking to do better, you'll do better with me, because the others that are in this election, they are elite status people. They are well financial. Yeah. And just it has been proven throughout the years that the common people do better under Democratic leadership, period.
What once in Washington, what policies would you support to help working families deal with the rising costs of some of these basic things that you talked about: gas, groceries, utilities, etc.?
Well, the very first thing would be health care. We have to get back to where people can afford their subsidies.
Right.
With what the one big ugly bill that I call it, they say is one big beautiful bill. I call it ugly. The one big ugly bill, it cut the subsidies away and put them at a level that made the insurance less affordable than it was a couple of administrations ago. I would like to see those subsidies being brought back to those levels to where you could afford the insurance. Also, one of the best things you can do is we need an exit plan from this war that is illegal, because it wasn't started through Congress. But if we can end this war some kind of way, the fuel prices will go down. For farmers, the fertilizer prices will go down. And of course, transportation for our food and essentials that we have to have for living, they all have transportation fuel costs built into the price of them. So when we can end this war, the fuel prices will not only result in less money you're paying for fuel at the pump, but it'll end up being less money that you're paying for goods that are transported into the stores.
That's true. That's true. You support minimum wages are going up, and what do you say to the small business owners who are out there who are concerned that if wages are required to go up, it may impact their business's bottom line?
Right. That is a question that I will be faced with myself, because of course I have employees that work on my farm, and if a minimum wage go up, enough that it will reflect what my staff would be paid. So for a business owner, you would want an atmosphere where businesses have the ability to thrive. You can't just change the legislation and stick a big minimum wage increase and don't make the atmosphere for businesses to be better. That's not the way you drive it. You have to drive it by making an atmosphere where businesses can strive and they're able to do better. And of course, when the local small business can do better, of course they will be more equipped to handle that minimum wage increase. So for me, a minimum wage increase is not just the kind of like a fix it. There has to be some other things that come along with it for the businesses also. Yeah.
Now you did that healthcare is really important to you because, as you stated just a few minutes, when you first came in, that, access to a quality health care, should we keep moving forward the way we are, you guys would be in Alexandria, probably in Jackson almost, before you can get to somewhere where there's decent, or Vicksburg, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on how do we fix that particular issue?
Well, or to fix the healthcare issues, it starts with the cuts to the healthcare industry from the one big beautiful bill. It like I said, there's 18. No, I'm wrong. It's more than 18. It's 33 hospitals that are on the chopping blocks statewide, um, totally. But it's not all about the one big beautiful bill. It's about, the way the billing is handled through the hospitals from the healthcare systems, which was giving hospitals a tough go before the one big beautiful bill. The one big beautiful bill did a lot of damage, but it wasn't all of the damage that was done with hospitals. Hospitals need help, period, from the billing to, with the prescription meds, and we have to lower the prescription costs, throughout, because prescription meds is one of the areas where I believe the citizens are being crushed at, because medicine is really, really high. And so that can help lower, the healthcare problem that people have with having the trouble of being able to afford healthcare and their healthcare policies.
Another big issue that I think in studying some of the things that you've been talking about is homeowners insurance, and insurance in general here in Louisiana. What do you fundamentally believe that's driving this insurance crisis, and what federal solutions, if any, do you think could help to stabilize, our insurance market?
Well, we have to fight for federal reinsurance reform. That's one of the things that we got to fight for. When your homeowner's insurance costs almost more than your mortgage, man, something is broken. Yeah. Families are just simply being priced out of their homes, that they've owned for generations, man, because of trying to insure them. We've got to put an end to those kind of policies, man, that acts. A lot of time it lies, around the coastline a lot of times. And we got to quit asking Gulf Coast families, man, to bear the full cost of living, in the state where they built their homes at. Yeah, we need a reform. It needs to be totally reformed.
And you guys, again, you've made it clear you are a farmer and all of that kind of good stuff. Oftentimes, support for our rural communities are often overlooked, and from the standpoint when you guys run into a disaster. Now, I've been up in North Louisiana in your neck of the woods, and we get a lot of rain, and the fields turn into like a lake or something.
Yeah,
and it's a disaster. What additional support do you think that the federal government could really be doing to help the farmers in Louisiana, period?
Well, the number one thing is we need a brand new farm bill. The farm bill that we have, that we're working under right now, I think it was 2018. So that's pre-COVID, man.
Mm-hmm.
A farm bill from 2018 that we're still working under. Um, it has no idea, with a farm bill that's that old. There are no safety nets built into it for today's living and today's farming. We need a new farm bill. I'm gonna say that again, and I will do everything in my power to fight for a new farm bill. I know they're working on a new farm bill in Congress right now, and I hope they can get it fixed. But I have some ideas. What I'd like to see a safety net uh, for crops. I would like to see some new crop insurance reforms that deal with quality grain loss. Um, I would like to see, you know, um, I would like to see some reform in the new farm bill um, that puts growing crops back into the farmer's hands and not um, making it so. It makes it hard at times, and we need legislation that gives us the ability to basically sell our commodities on a fair market. It seems like everybody has their hand into the farm except the farmer. Farming is the only industry that I know of that you grow and produce a commodity, and then somebody else tell you what you're going to sell it for. Um, we can do better than that. Actually, in 2025, man, I had the best yields that I ever had on average. But being that the prices wasn't where they needed to be, I still didn't pay all of my bills. I still didn't pay all of my bills. So I say that to say that we have to come up with some things that are new. And I'll leave you on this with farming. When other countries can grow and produce the same commodities that we produce, soybeans, corn, cotton, and other commodities, but they can sell that same bushel of corn for what we can sell it for and make more money than America. Why would other countries come here and buy it from us when they can go to another country and buy that same bale of cotton, that same bushel of beans, that same bushel of corn, and not have to pay more for it when they have to deal with the tariffs?
Your campaign has also highlighted the environmental concerns along the Louisiana industrial corridor.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance the environmental protections with preserving jobs and economic growth, which is desperately needed in our neck of the woods?
So, well, here it is. We have, for so long, Louisiana has basically, I need to say this right, Mr. Jack.
You say, go ahead.
Yeah, I need to make sure I get it right, because I don't want to just I need to make sure I get it right. So let me explain.
Mm-hmm.
So we allow companies to come into our state to set up and do business with us, but we give them all kind of tax incentives and tax breaks to do so, which in turns hurt the communities. Yes, they're and I won't always say that when we give them the tax break that the amount of jobs are there that they promised in order to because when I served office, I know what it's like to give a company a tax break to come to your community. and you can reward that by saying this, how many jobs they're going to bring to our communities.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to know whether or not these companies are delivering the jobs that they say they're bringing, and if they're not, why do they still get their tax break? Also, when it comes to the clean environment and making sure that our precious commodity, which is the land and the earth, stays precious, when you pollute, you have to be punished or made clean it up. And we can't be lenient with that, because we only given one earth to live on. And when you destroy it, you don't get another one. So you have to be strict on the rules and the regulations, and you don't always give away the land by offering all of the incentives. You award a company for coming to your community in a way that you're not giving away the farm to do so.
All right. And as we talked about initially in the conversation about carbon capture, storage projects that are often referred to as CCS have generated, they've a lot of debate.
There's a lot of debate behind it, yes.
And across central Louisiana, the supporters argue that CCS creates jobs and helps reduce emissions, while many residents have raised concerns about the property rights, safety of the groundwater,
right,
local control.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you stand on CCS projects, and what role do you believe the federal government should play in balancing economic development with community concerns?
Okay, so to start off, we started the conversation by saying that I was a farmer, and so, no doubt I depend on that aquifer. I just believe nobody gets to inject anything beneath the land without the people's full knowledge about it. People should have a real consent for people to do so, and a guarantee that their water and their livelihood will be protected. That's not, I'm not opposed to, I'm against it, but I'm not opposed to business. I just believe that basic respect for people and who own their land, it should be given. People should have the respect to, if somebody said, no, I don't want it, they don't want it. And you can't take my land and do what the hell you want to do with my land. This is mine. That's what's troubling, man. You can't just eminent domain people's property. Not mine. I make my living with my land, and then when they bring those pipelines across your property, there's areas of your property that you can't do anything with because of that pipeline that's there. I'm not with that. From time to time, we get what we call a hard pan in these delta soils over here, and sometimes you have to deep break it and have to break it deep to where the water can penetrate the ground to where and if you think about it, the soils and the water, they work together as one. And a pipeline just wasn't designed to be down in the ground. It's to each his own. And like I said, I am not against business, but I am a man of the land. And I've seen in some of the reports of what happened in Mississippi from those pipeline, that they had those leaks in Mississippi, man. I don't want that nowhere around me at all. Yeah.
Another one, that's impacting us here in Louisiana is this concept of data centers
Yes, sir.
that are coming. Right now, we have one being built just north of Alexandria up in Boyce.
Voice,
Uh,
yeah.
Yep, and then you guys got the big one that's really up in northeast
Yeah.
Louisiana,
Holly
Medicine.
Ridge.
Right.
Yeah, the metal, yeah.
What's your thoughts? There's a lot of there are some environmental concerns with data centers. Um, some, all I guess you really need to look into what technology they're going to use to roll into it. But in general, what's your thoughts on the data center concept?
Well, I am for a new industry. Like I said, I am not a guy that's against new businesses and new industry, but what I am not for is Louisiana paying higher prices for um, energy costs and water. Water costs to subsidize billion-dollar corporations, man. Um, Economic development means community benefits, not just a company that cuts a deal. It those data centers, they can, if they are the ones that's driven by water, man, they can use up some big numbers of waters, by the gallon. And of course they use electricity. But when you bring in um, corporations and businesses like that, it shouldn't spike people's cost of living. Those companies should come in and pay their own fair share, and it shouldn't affect the lives of the peoples around those centers in a way that increases their expenses. If anything, they should come in and be, a help to the community. That's the way I feel about the data centers.
Mm-hmm. So do you believe that there is a way? Because you say you are for business, because we need the jobs and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, do you think that there is a possibility for the two to coexist if, just say and one of the things that we see over here is that a lot of times people don't get, we don't do a very good job of explaining what we're getting ready to roll out into our community. And when
Right.
we find out about it, it's kind of like at the end, and then we got this big thing in front of us and we really don't know what's going on. So how do you think we bridge and fix this poor communication that we have?
Right. So, on some of the research that I've done on data centers, there are different energy source style of data centers. There are those that use a lot of water. There are those that, don't use as much water. So what I believe is that the citizens of the community in which the data center is being brought in, those citizens need to have full knowledge of the style of data center that's being built. I don't think there should be NDAs that's signed, and because some kind of business is coming to the community. I think the public have the right to know what's going on in their community. You can't just sign NDAs and tell people to be quiet and can't say anything about, and then they cut a deal and the people don't have a clue of what you bring into their community.
So that trust and transparency is something that could be worked on as you move forward. Let me ask you this right here. What separates you from the other candidates in this race? Particularly Look, no. I want to break that one down. Particularly, what breaks you down from the other Democratic candidate, and then what makes you different from the ones, the Republican candidates that's running their primary over there as well.
So, all right.
Yeah, you're gonna have this conversation with us over here in Central Louisiana.
Hey man, now you making it hard on me, man. See, this how fights get started right here.
This how fights get started.
Yeah, man. You gonna make me say something. Not when I say bad, I don't mean like bad in a way that I'm trying to be detrimental to somebody's, or their character or anything like that. So here it is. Who I am as a person, the life that I've lived, who Jamie Davis is. Jamie Davis is a farmer from Northeast Louisiana that knows the struggles of the people. Jamie Davis is a community servant that has served the community. Jamie Davis is a guy that loves the outdoors of hunting and fishing, that competes in bass tournaments, sometimes all over the nation. Jamie Davis is a guy that's the guy that you and anybody in any of your listeners would love to hang out with at a barbecue and grill off a piece of chicken and maybe have a cold beer after work. Jamie Davis is the guy that is down for just being the guy that's looking to help and uplift people. So I think, and it's only in my opinion, that I'm the best candidate to serve the people because number one, I am of the people. I'm not a career politician that has been involved in politics so long that I am so worried about the next election. I am worried about making a Louisiana that we all can afford. One of the things that's most near and dear to me is that I'm 55 years old. And of course, we see Louisiana struggling in areas. And then there are areas that Louisiana is doing okay in. But when the dust settles, we're still at the bottom of a lot of categories. If we don't fight to change that, then what good, Mr. Jack, did it do for me to work my ass off to build something to leave to my kids and grandkids over here in the Louisiana Delta? And then when I'm dead and gone, they don't want anything to do with it because the Delta will be definitely gone. No hospitals, no schools, no quality of life. If I don't fight for that Louisiana, and that Louisiana ain't just in the Delta, that Louisiana is in the Lower Ninth Ward, that Louisiana is in Alexandria, because when I rode through Alexandria moving around, I see the neighborhoods that are struggling in Alexandria, just like I see the neighborhoods that are struggling in Shreveport. So when I got on this run, I was kind of selfish in one way, but the more I rode and looked, Louisiana needs a facelift. And that facelift ain't coming from the same people that we've been sending to office, because they not coming to save us. If we don't come and save ourselves, and when I say us, I truly mean us. Because if you have to get up and go to work every day to make your ends meet, you do not need a suit to serve you. You better go and get somebody that know what your struggles are to serve you. And I am that candidate. I am Jamie Davis. I am number 3 on your ballot. And I will go to work and work hard for Louisiana that we all can live in and we all can afford.
I guess you answered my next question. You just told us that. But before we close, I'm gonna give you another opportunity to just go ahead and before we get ready to get out of here and close, what 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 message do you have for Louisiana voters as they prepare? No, I take that back. I'm adding one on the spot right now. Now, I really want to try to understand this, James.
All
It
right.
just for whatever reason, it
Uh-huh.
just appeared that here in central northeast East Louisiana, that candidates when we are vying for these state offices, or and in this case a federal office, but running at a state level, it just seems like again I could almost understand if we were way out there in Catahoula. But here, but still, we still tie into each other, and it just seems like they pass over us here in Central Louisiana. And we don't get to know. I mean, I had to go research on the candidate, do my own research on the candidate, because there was no didn't there was no debate, no candidate forum that I could attend here locally in Alexandria and nowhere throughout Central Louisiana. And
Yeah.
and it just and I tell you when y'all after right after the primary, I was like, whatever I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach out to these senatorial candidates, because the people who follow us here on Urbancast was beating us up and saying nobody's talking to these people, nobody's talking to them about the issues that we are being impacted by. So that's
Right.
why I got on a mission to hunt you down, man.
Well, I appreciate that mission of hunting me down, but I
Uh-huh.
will say this is what I will say to the voters of Central Louisiana. I am very proud of the work that I've put in to build a campaign, and I am sorry if my messaging didn't reach any of the viewers that see me right now. I have put about 30,000 miles on a 3,500 Dodge Ram, traveling all over this state trying to reach people. But
Uh-huh.
one thing that I am proud as a Tensas farmer,
Mm-hmm.
that people had 163,000 reasons to say they wanted something different. Mr. Jack, we worked really hard to
Mm-hmm.
reach the people. And I think the people are saying that they're sick of the status quo, with the money that all three Democratic candidates spent together versus the money that the Republicans spent on their campaigns. For the Republican leader to only be ahead of us by 15,000 votes, that's telling the people of Louisiana. Now, and I need to be very careful because I don't want people to think I'm boasting or bragging or any of that. I am just stating facts. They spent together well over $20+ million and lived on your TV. They lived on your TV because they was on mine every day, all day, fighting like kids. But when the dust settled, the Republicans were only out front of the Democrats by 15 plus or minus. It may be 16,000. So what? But for the amount of money spent versus in their elections versus what we spent in the Democratic elections, that we had that small of a lead that the Republican leader held over our campaign. I think, and I want to be very clear, that was not the goal. The goal is to win the election. And how do we win this election? By getting people involved. Because votes trumps money every single time. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, get out and vote. I would hope that you vote for me, number 3, on your ballot, but you have to go vote. You can't believe that somebody is going to come and save it for us. We have to get involved, and if we get involved and then vote, we win. And we win. And I'll say it again, and we win. People are tired of the shenanigans. They just want no nonsense candidates that's doing what's right for the people. Not a very few of the people, but for the people. And I am a candidate for the people.
Before we get out of here, what message do you have to the people of Louisiana, specifically here in Central Louisiana, as they prepare to, to head into the polls to vote in this runoff?
I would love to tell the people of the Sin Law that if you want change and you want a better way of life, you have an opportunity to do something historical that has never been done in Louisiana. And it's not about making history for me, but it can only be history now because if we elect a Democrat, it will be a black man that'll be a Democrat. So, and there is no, I'm not trying to, start nothing racial, but there's only 2 black men left in the Democratic side of this primary. So if a Democrat win this election, it will make history. So I am proud to say that Louisiana have a chance to make history by sending a Democrat back to Washington. And we do that by getting out to vote. And I can promise you that there is enough going on the Republican side of the ledger that people are sick of that infighting, and they appear not to have the people's best interest at all. They appear to just be fighting each other to be the person that racing to be the best for the president. And it's not that the president did not elect you, the people did. We have to get back to serving the people. And that's what I am here to do, to serve the people.
And what would you say, Jamie, to the young voters out there? You're talking to us, and we're primarily on social media, talking to the public right now. What would you say to that young voter? Especially given that they are the youngest voting bloc, but right. And they actually control the purse strings. So how do you get them young folk motivated to go execute their franchise and go vote on election day?
For those that are involved, they're involved because there are some young fire plugs out there, because I've met them. I've met them all over the state driving around. There are young people that are involved. They want to know what's going on around them. They're concerned about their tops. They're concerned about being able to get an education at a better price. They know what's going on. And then you have the few, and I won't just say a few, but then you have that group that I've stopped and tried to talk to them, and they say, hey, man, I really don't do politics. And for that group that say, hey, man, I really don't do politics, they're going to do what they want to do anyway, I will say to those young people, politics is a part of your life every single day. You either going to get involved or politics is going to run over you. And what I mean by run over you is when you see your voters' rights being taken, when you see that the schools around you are closing, when you see hospitals around you closing, it's because maybe you said you don't do politics, and maybe you may need to be involved, because your vote is your voice. And you always want your voice to be heard, because if your voice is not being heard, then that means you didn't participate into the project. And you don't want that, because when somebody deals you a bad hand, you want to be able to scream out and say, hey, no, man, you cheating. And I have a say in this. And use your voice, which is your vote, in that say by going and pulling the lever for the person that you think best represents you. That's my message to young people.
Okay, I appreciate that. Anything else, Jamie, that you want to say to the public?
Well, no more than I love Central Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite spots to eat over there is a spot called Miss Pamela's. Man, she got some show enough good groceries over there. Yeah, um, I when I'm not farming or when I'm not involved in a big campaign, I
Mm-hmm.
spend a lot of time bass fishing over at Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn Reservoir. So I
Mm-hmm.
drive to Alexandria a lot, and
Right.
I like that area.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's one of my spots. It's one of my spots. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, and and this weekend coming up, we put up an article earlier today about this free, not necessarily, well, it is free. You don't have to have a license this weekend.
To
You can
fish.
actually, yeah, you can get out there and just go throw a
Yeah,
rod this weekend.
that's right.
And
You can go fishing. Yeah,
this weekend. So if you
yeah,
want to go throw that rod, this is the weekend to go do it.
yeah. And Mr. Jack, one of my other like I told you, I love the bass fish. So
Uh-huh.
The Red River is near and dear to me, man. I've won a few coins out there on that Red River, right there out of Shreveport. I won
Uh-huh.
some money fishing out of Natchitoches, and I've
Uh-huh.
also won some nice money fishing out of the Alexandria pool. So
Okay. All right. All right.
I
All
like
right.
that, man. And
All right.
that's why I tell you that Louisiana has never seen a candidate like me, man. I've got friends all over the state that know me from farming. I got friends all over the state that know me from bass fishing. I got friends from all over the state that know me from hunting. I got
Mm-hmm.
friends from all over the state that know me from just being the guy that's involved.
Uh-huh.
So
All
yeah, so
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, listen, Jamie, I certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come chat with us for 57 minutes. We weren't supposed to talk that long. We were supposed to talk about 30 minutes, and we've been
so
going at it for. Huh?
sound like we was having a pretty good time that we got lost in the time, Mr. Jack.
Yeah, we did. We didn't do too bad, but I definitely want to say thank you, and you know, and I do 100% appreciate you for coming
Right.
and sharing your thoughts.
And Mr. Jack, will you allow me one other second?
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
So now this is not a knock on anybody, and I'm not trying to predict nothing. But when it comes to the carbon capture world, and I
Mm-hmm.
know there is a lot of people in what I call the middle of sin law
Mm-hmm.
front, yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
are deeply involved in this CCS, and
Mm-hmm.
I have noticed that a lot of the Sin Law Louisiana carbon capture family is pulling behind Mr. Fleming. And
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say to them that if Mr. Fleming is not fortunate in his race, there's a place for them over here, because I understand that they believe and think that I will say some, he is not the only person in this race that is not for carbon capture. I am not for it also. So if carbon capture is one of the big things that some of the voters are in sin law, that's their key issue. There's two candidates in this Senate race that are against carbon capture, and that's Mr. Fleming and myself. And I just wanted to share that message with them. that if Mr. Fleming, was unfortunate in his campaign, that
Mhm.
if carbon capture is your issue, you have a home over here. If he was something, if his campaign wasn't, to not be fortunate in his election.
Okay. Well, I guess you guys heard that right here on Urban Cast. That the carbon capture has a home in Jamie's campaign. But again, Jamie, I definitely want to say thank you for joining us
Appreciate
tonight and sharing your vision for Louisiana. Regardless of political affiliation, informed voters make stronger communities. I
you.
believe
Yes,
that. I think, Jamie, I know I heard that in your voice. And we appreciate every candidate we over here at UrbanCast, appreciate each and every candidate who is going to take the time to engage directly with the public. You say you the people's person, we're the people's news voice as well, Jamie. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So when you want to
that.
talk to the people, we can take you directly over there to them. We encourage everyone watching tonight to stay informed, research the candidates, and most importantly, participate in this thing called the election process. A special thank you to our silver sponsor, Acadian Ambulance, whose support helps UrbanCast bring important community conversations like we're having tonight about Central Louisiana and Louisiana in general. Also, a special thank you to all of our other business partners out there. I'm Jack, and this has been another edition of Let's Talk on UrbanCast. We'll see you next time. On tomorrow, we're going to be talking to Old Mel's Farm. She's going to be talking to us about all of the programs that they have over at the farm for kids to do during the summertime. Jamie, I just knew you were going to like that one. So you see, UrbanCast, we might have that title urban, but we take care of the rural community as well over here. So we're not ashamed to go out into the rural community and get our hands and feet a little dirty over here.
All right.
But, join us tomorrow night. We're gonna have Mel and Amanda. They're gonna be talking about horsemanship. They're gonna be talking about all of the cool things that kids can do over the summer on the farm and different things of that nature. We'll see you guys next time. Jamie, if you can hang in 1 second, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. All right, man.
I heard about the ENT class through some of my friends. Went to a ride along, took the class, and then I was kind of like, well, here I am.
Getting to meet people that you've helped previously and seeing them on the street, or they've come by the station to say hello and thank you. It's just a rewarding experience. I would do it all over.
Searching for an unforgettable summer for your child? At Old Nell's Farm, campers spend days riding horses, learning horsemanship, caring for animals, making new friends, and enjoying real farm adventures. From beginners to horse lovers, our small camps offer a fun, safe, hands-on experience they'll talk about all year. Old Nell's Farm, DeVille, Louisiana. Call 318-794-9533 to register. Spots are limited.
Hi, this is Pastor Roger L. Green Sr., pastor of the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. We're welcoming you to our worship services on Sunday morning. Sunday school begin at 8 a.m. Worship services begin at 9 a.m. Come and grow with us, a place of faith, family, and fellowship. We would love to have you. Come see us Sunday morning. We'll see you there.
Hey, did you know Long's Products is a family-owned janitorial supply with mops, brooms, trash bags, and they even have food service disposables, carry-out plates, and to-goes? Check us out.